Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, Vincent LaRusso and I are going to be discussing Aerosmith's announcement about their final tour. Of course, we'll also cover a lot about Aerosmith's incredible career, what our thoughts are about some of the catalog, their live performances, and so much more. Lots to cover in this episode. I think you guys are going to really enjoy this, so let's jump in and let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. Today I'm excited to have with me my buddy, my comrade, the partner in crime, the chemist, the man with 1,000 nicknames. Please welcome Mr. Vincent LaRusso.
Thank you. Is this when you pipe in the applause? You could throw some of those in too, I'm
Of
sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
How's it going, buddy?
Good. Very good.
Very good. I know.
What do you have me up? What do you have me up so early on a Monday morning? Actually, it's not early for me, but
No, it's not. I was going to say, well, you're usually early riser, right?
yeah.
Well, I was harassing you all weekend. I was like, all right, Monday morning, there's going to be a big announcement. We got to get on 15, 20 minutes, half hour. Just talk about it. Aerosmith is going to be announcing their farewell tour. And then, of course, this morning is like 8:45. I'm like, you almost ready? You almost ready? And, what'd you say? Like, stop harassing me or something like that? Oh, man.
Yeah.
But, obviously last week there was, I don't know if you saw them, they were starting to put up like peace out signs on all different arenas with the Aerosmith logo. So people very quickly knew what was coming. This was not necessarily a surprise, but did you read the press release that came out this morning?
No. I read some comments Joe Perry made about it, like it's time,
Right.
the ages of the guys. I think Steven Tyler is 75, which I didn't realize he was that old, that age. I don't want to say that old. I don't like to use the word old, but at that age.
No, Steven Tyler's what, 75, Joe Perry's 73, the rest of the guys 71. I mean, sad, but our heroes, our music, guys that we grew up with listening to and loving, that they're all getting up there. I always think that, gee, that's the age, my dad and mom are, I don't think my dad's going to be up on stage performing like that,
Yeah. Well, personally, I don't like hearing news of farewell tours.
Well, here, I'm going to read because you said you didn't read it. Let me read it to you because it's only short. So here's from Aerosmith. Peace out. After 50 years, 10 world tours, that number surprised me. I thought it would be higher. And playing for over 100 million fans, it's time for one last go. Aerosmith, peace out with special guests, the Black Crowes. Figured that would get you thawed, right? Fans will see one of the most significant American rock bands in history one last time during this not-to-be-missed final tour. So let's pause there for a moment. Final tour, not final show. This is a page right out of the Kiss book the second I read that, final tour. Every night will celebrate the 5 decades of Aerosmith's groundbreaking hits as they celebrate 50 years as America's greatest rock band. In addition, THX will bring their THX certified live high fidelity experience on the road, calibrating each arena with leading edge technology so fans don't miss a beat of Aerosmith's classic rock tunes and quality audio. And then they go and say, it's not goodbye, it's peace out, get ready to walk this way, blah, 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 blah. So first off, any press release that uses the word calibrate, I'm happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But do you know what that's all about? You're more of an audio guy than I am. THX certified live high fidelity experience. What's that all about?
I mean, like when you see like Dolby Surround, DTX, it's just another branded A lot of times you'll maybe if you own a Blu-ray player, you'll see THX certified. It's just a way or technology that's when I say calibrated, like I have a software package that I use in my studio. Now my studio is in a townhouse. It's not a calibrated room where they measure the room, and it's the speakers are perfectly centered, and I have sound absorption. So there's software that I use that measures the room. And I won't go into a lot of detail about this, but it uses a microphone to measure the room. And so that when you're doing a mix, you're not going to put too much bass or too much treble, because the room could amplify bass, it could amplify treble.
Sure. Okay.
So it's a way of calibrating the room so that when you're listening to your monitor speakers, it's as flat as possible. Now, being that you play it in different arenas and stuff like that, obviously there's different dimensions and sound's going to travel and bounce. And that's what sound engineers kind of battle all the time, wherever they're going, especially outdoors where it just escapes into thin air. So they're using this THX technology in order to calibrate, sort of measure the room, so that no matter where you are in the arena, you should be experiencing, I won't say equal sound, because that's nearly impossible unless they know something I don't. Because if you just think about it, if you're at the side of a speaker or the front of a speaker, that alone is going to give different imaging. But what they're trying to do is, and that's a great marketing. I mean, I've never heard it before, that a band's actually, they one up Kiss on this one. Unless they're doing it, they just don't, market it that way with their tour. But I think it's a cool thing. I think that's because I know a lot of people, like they'll choose different arenas or different places to go see a show because of the sound. I mean, I've gone to, and I know you have, if you go to MetLife Stadium in New Jersey and you sit all the way up, I saw McCartney that way, and quite honestly, I loved seeing McCartney, but the sound experience wasn't great. But how do you combat that when you're all the way up and you got the sky right above you and no ceiling to kind of bounce the sound back down? So that's always going to be hard to manage arenas like that.
Right. And they did announce dates for, I think it's September through January only so far. And they look like, I just read it over quickly. It looked like it's all indoor arenas, no surprise. A lot of them, in North America here, you're not going to be playing open air stadiums in the winter. So, because I agree with you, outdoor shows, the sound is just always very hit and miss. I hate going to Jones. I love going to Jones Beach because I love the whole ambiance. But outdoor sound is just, there's nothing that beats an indoor show. And, it'll be interesting to see if, when I go to one of these shows, if I could hear a difference of this calibrated sound.
Yeah. My feeling is you probably won't.
Yeah, my feeling is also,
but maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yep. But going back to the top, right, you were mentioning, unfortunately, like the age of all these guys and all of that. And, of course, whenever bands announce something like this, the first thought people have is, it's not real. No, it's not real. I tend to think, though, I said this when Kiss announced their farewell tour or end of the road tour, like you said, Steven Tyler, 75. Can't keep doing this for that much longer. Now, they only announced dates through January, and it's clear there's going to be probably a lot more added. I tend to think that this really is a final tour for the guys. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, when I said that, I don't like these announcements and whatever, it's just because it's the end of an era. I mean, you don't want to hear about your heroes retiring. It's even, I mean, I used to be heavily into sports, not so much anymore, but when your favorite player retired or whatever, that was always sad, because you still wanted to see them either bat or skate or throw the football, whatever it is, whatever sport you love. And for this, it's kind of the same thing. I think a lot of our heroes in the bands, especially like Kiss and Aerosmith and the Who, whatever, although the Who retired in 82, but they're still going, that was their original, that one beats, I think, all, final tours, which is classic. But so I think we're just going to start seeing a lot of our heroes, musical heroes, kind of doing it all around the same time.
No, I agree. And in Aerosmith's case, and somebody could fact check me on this, but I think their last full-blown tour was back in like 2017. I know they've been doing a bunch of Vegas residencies since then. They did a little tiny residency in Atlantic City. They've done a couple of pop-up one-off shows. I know they played Boston, Fenway Park last summer with Extreme. But there hasn't been a proper tour that I can remember since 2017. So it just kind of goes right in line with these guys all being in their 70s, getting up there. Who knows what the relationships are like? I saw Joe Perry made a comment, and somebody asked him recently, how's your relationship with Steven Tyler? And he said, something like, not as good as it's going to be, but it was something along those lines, as good as to be expected, something like that. So it wasn't like, oh yeah, we're brothers, we're great friends, blah, blah, blah. It was obvious that it was, probably not like it was in the 70s. So
yeah,
I tend to think this is probably it in terms of a full-blown tour.
Yeah. I mean, let's also remember that, Steven Tyler, what was he a judge on? Was it American Idol or the other one? I forget.
I think American Idol. I don't really watch any of those shows, but I think he was on American Idol for a season or something like that.
Yeah. So I don't think like Joe Perry was probably particularly happy when they were doing those type of things. And also I think Steven has still been in and out of battling, I think issues and stuff like that. I don't know what it is, I don't really follow that too closely. I just remember hearing stuff about like that. So I think that's probably prevented them in the last however many years, you say 2017, from touring or doing, this type of activity. But yeah, I mean, it's again, it's an opportunity to see, some of our favorite bands and our heroes, but it's also, it's come to the reality that, certain things that we hate to end, unfortunately have to end. But
absolutely. Well, and to that point also, in recent years, Joey Kramer hasn't been playing drums with them. And I know back in, I think 2020, you and I did an episode on that when they were going to perform at the Grammys, getting the Lifetime Achievement Award, and they wouldn't even let Joey come into rehearsals and all of that. And, to my knowledge, basically all of the Vegas shows in recent years has been John Douglas, which is their drum tech. And it sounds like Kramer won't be on these shows either. So does that change anything for you? I know you're not, I'm going to say, a huge Aerosmith fan. It's not like there's Kiss and Aerosmith side by side, or Kiss, Beatles, and Aerosmith. I'd say Aerosmith is lower down, I believe, on your list compared to those bands. So if you were considering going, knowing that Joey Kramer's not there as a drummer yourself, does that change it at all for you?
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I love Joey Kramer. I think he's way underrated as a drummer. You'll hear all the grades, Bonham and such, and I'm not trying to compare him to Bonham or Neil Peart, and very, very different drummers. But listen, Walk This Way drum intro is not one, or maybe the top three, most famous drum intros of a song. As soon as you hear that,
sure,
and it's a great groove, and it's fun to play. I was just playing it the other day, even before I heard any of this stuff. He was. I think he had his own style. Yeah, I mean, as much as I would love to see him play, that would not prevent me from going to see the band.
I agree. And now, to me, it would be cool, and I don't know, with his health and all, and the relationship with the guys in the band, it would be cool if he could come out and, like, let's say, do the encores or something like that. Maybe 73 years old, which is how old he is. It's tough to play drums all night at that age, so I totally get that. I'm in my 50s and I'm friggin' tired and cranky at 8 o'clock every night. So I can't imagine getting on stage and playing drums for 2 hours. But it kind of would be cool to me, maybe John plays the main set and Joey plays just the encores, just so that they could all go out together. Because I was thinking about this also. How many bands from that era go out with all original members? Now, obviously, they may not be, because John might be playing drums instead of Joey. But if Joey can get there for the encores, I mean, how many bands can say that? I'm hard pressed to think of really any bands that go out. Motley Crue could have, but they kind of blew that. I can't think of any other bands that go out with all original members like that.
U2, your favorite?
No, I think they're replacing their drummer this fall.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
I think so. Yeah, I think they're doing some shows in Vegas, and if I remember right, who's their drummer? I forget the guy's name.
Adam Clayton? Is that his?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's not going to be at those shows.
I wonder why. I
haven't heard. I think he's recovering from some kind of surgery or whatever. Yeah, this is only like the last month or so that I read this, that is going to be the first time. I think there was one other show he missed years ago. What, a bass player miss? I don't remember. Anyway, so yeah, that they're going down that road now also with a replacement player.
Well, people either they realize it or they don't realize how tough it is playing the drums. Out of all the instruments, obviously, I know we're going to be Captain Obvious here. The physicality of playing the drums, and now you're in your 70s. A lot of drummers have back issues. I mean, look, Peter Criss was one.
Yep.
And you hear it all the time.
Yep.
Neil Peart was suffering tremendously. And that was supposedly one of the reasons why Rush was retiring was because of Neil.
Mm-hmm.
They did not want to go on as Rush with another drummer, and obviously they even to this day, and Neil passed. Unfortunately, that wasn't why Rush stopped. But it's a tough instrument to play.
Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely. Now I know I pay attention to more of these kind of things than you do. I did pay attention to some of their set list on the Vegas residency that they were doing, and the one thing that kind of nags me with Aerosmith. Well, let me say this first off. I've seen Aerosmith, I think, like, I don't know, 7 or 8 times over my life. Always left, I hate to say this right now, I've always left disappointed every time I've seen them in concert. I don't remember ever walking out saying, wow, what a great show that was. Whether it was set list, whether it was whatever, I've always left a little disappointed. I don't know what it is about it, but I've always left disappointed. And when I was looking at the Vegas residency that they did in the last, I guess, year or two, their set list would generally speaking 17 songs. And when you've got a catalog like there's 17 songs, that's a tough pill to swallow to me. Always, if you're doing 17 songs, guaranteed, if you've got Aerosmith's catalog, you're going to be missing songs that people want to hear on a nightly basis. Now they did mix it up in Vegas, and maybe they'll do the same on this tour. But like one night they do The Other Side, the next night they do Let the Music Do the Talking. But there was the set list I was looking at. There was no Mama Kin. There was some nights there's no Back in the Saddle, Same Old Song and Dance, Draw the Line, Janie's Got a Gun, Jaded. I mean, all of these like classic Aerosmith songs, and it's like, now some of those songs I'm not the hugest fan of. I don't love Back in the Saddle or Same Old Song and Dance. But
well, let me just
go ahead.
I just had to look this up because I was thinking about it.
Yeah,
I believe I only saw Aerosmith once.
Wow. Okay.
All right, and I just remember I saw them in '87, so I saw them a while back.
Permanent Vacation tour, right?
Yeah,
nice.
and Dokken opened for them, and that night they did 17 songs. Okay, wow. That was in '87. All right, so this is something that seems like they've been doing quite some time, and the last song was actually a cover. They did the Beatles' "I'm Down."
I'm Down.
With
cover. I love that cover.
With John Bon Jovi came out for that, which this was at the Brendan Byrne Arena. But that night they did.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, well, blame Mr. Lyotta for that one. That was, he literally, I remember that day he said, "You want to go see Aerosmith tonight?" I'm like, "Yeah, you got tickets?" He says, "No, we're gonna go scalp them." I was like, "Okay," and we went to the arena and we walked around. And I think this was my first experience with like going with somebody and trying to get tickets, and we did. And I think I was a little throwed too at the time because I did have the Permanent Vacation album, and Dokken was opening for them.
Yeah,
and I don't think he even knew who Dokken was. So
wow. Okay.
But just looking at the set list here, and it's it's kind of more and obviously the vintage stuff because it's '87. Yep. But yeah, I'm
out of curiosity, what vintage songs did they do that evening?
Toys in the Attic, Same Old Song and Dance. What they do as
Sweet Emotion, Walk This Way,
Sweet Emotion, Last Child, Draw the Line, Rats in the Cellar, Sweet Emotion, Train Kept a Rolling, Walk This Way. So I mean, off of Permanent, they do Looks Like a Lady, and they didn't even do Angel that night, so maybe it wasn't even a hit yet. So Do Looks Like a Lady and Ragdoll.
Okay.
There might be another one that I just don't know from that album.
Magic Touch.
Magic Touch, yes.
It's my favorite song on that album.
Magic Touch. Oh, no, that's the other one.
I've never made that connection.
Yeah. So, so I'm glad I was able to see them then, and just so we know, if we have any Dokken fans, that was the Back for the Attack tour, and Dokken played 8 songs on that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my, I'll say, problem. To me, Aerosmith has to do a minimum of like 22 songs. And you're still going to leave the arena wishing that there were songs that you want to like. I guess about a year or two ago, I went on a big Aerosmith kick. I think you know this, and I actually was revisiting their entire catalog, and especially the 70s stuff, and songs like I Want to Know Why, Kings and Queens. Yeah, those songs became like, wow, I kind of either didn't know some of them in some cases or just forgot about them. And I'm like, damn, I love these songs. And to this day, still Draw the Line is probably my favorite Aerosmith song. And I'm guaranteeing you they're probably not going to do any of those, maybe not even Draw the Line on this tour. And that's why I'm just like, I just think if I go, and I probably will, I'm going to be disappointed again. I know it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's tough with a band that spans so many years and you want to hear so much, they probably feel obligated to play a lot of the hits and stuff like that. The interesting thing is about a band like Aerosmith is it seemed like later, especially more later in their career, a lot of their hits were written either by Diane Warren or whoever. I don't know if Desmond was obviously involved with the Permanent Vacation album.
Yep.
And I was just kind of thinking, kind of an aside to this, and we could maybe just have a quick opinion on this. Is it's still performed by the band, but if a Diane Warren is the one who's the sole writer, or Holly Knight, or what was the other one you just
Desmond Child.
Yeah, Desmond Child. Right. I thought there was another writer. Who the one you interviewed, was that Holly Knight?
Holly Knight, yeah. Holly Knight.
All right, I'm getting a little confused. Sorry about that. It's Monday morning, so you got to actually, my brain's fully calibrated. It's not usually fully calibrated at the beginning. But does that the word isn't cheapen? I don't want to use that word, but does it water down? Yeah, the band recorded it and performed it, but they didn't write it. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, if you go see, all right, let me put it to you this way. You go see and I'm not saying it's going to be this way, but you go see a concert and half the songs were written by an outside writer. They were hits for the band. I know they had, and I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, and the other one, Crazy, and I think all those songs were
Crying and Amazing.
Right. They were all, as far as I remember, right? Maybe they had a hand in it. I don't remember.
I think the only one that they had nothing to do with was I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. I think that's all Diane Warren.
Yeah.
But the others, I think Diane, not Diane.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I remember when I read Holly Knight's book and she's a co-writer on Ragdoll. I think she said she took 10% only because she helped just rename and change some of the words in the chorus, so that was still, and Desmond might be on that song also, I don't recall off the top of my head, but that was still the meat and potatoes of the song were there before she came in. So, sometimes even though there are these outside writers, it may not always be that they're the ones that came up with the riff, or they might be enhancing the song. And I'm not minimizing, because all those guys and gals are incredible songwriters. But for me, overall, no, it doesn't really change. If it's a good song, it's a good song. That's just the way I feel. So many Aerosmith fans say the song "Chip Away at Stone" is their favorite, one of their favorite Aerosmith songs. It's a cover tune. It's a cover, but people don't care because it's done so well. There's a few, Aerosmith has a few things that are covers, Train Kept a Rolling. That's not their song, but they perform that and fans love it. So to me, I don't get hung up on the songwriting. If it's a good song, it's a good song. I'm going to say this also, since we're kind of going down this road a little bit. So many people criticize 80s and 90s Aerosmith because they got very poppy, and they did, right? But songs like Crying, Crazy. Now, I say this, when I was going through the catalog again a couple of years ago, and I heard songs like, You See Me Crying or Home Tonight, which are, songs that end some of their most classic albums. Those are ballads, slow songs. And I say, what's the difference between a song like You See Me Crying, which I happen to think is a friggin' incredible song, and a song like Crazy? They're both ballads, keyboard driven. For crying out loud, Dream On is, piano, keyboard, whatever you want to say, driven. Ballad. Aerosmith's always been that type of band to some degree. Yeah, I know they got a little bit more polished in the 80s, but I don't get hung up on the fact that they had all these ballad hits or whatever. I mean, I'll say this. How many friggin' bands from the 70s had the level of success Aerosmith had, and then were maybe even more successful in the 80s and 90s? I can't think of any. Heart had success in the 80s and 90s, but they were never at the level of Aerosmith to me. Ozzy, but he was outside of Sabbath, so it wasn't even the same band. I can't think of any bands that had, that kind of success decades after their first success.
So the question is, did Desmond Child save Aerosmith? You remember, like, the whole, did Vinnie Vincent save
Oh
Kiss?
boy, did Desmond? You know what? I think the Permanent Vacation album saved Aerosmith, right? I think
that's why I said
album.
that.
Yeah, I know that. I know that is.
Yeah.
Dude Looks Like a Lady. Obviously, Desmond has a hand in that song. But supposedly, I remember when I interviewed Desmond, he said that the riff was there. And I think, again, he changed some of the lyrics in the chorus. And again, I'm not minimizing Desmond's involvement here at all, but could that song still have been popular without Desmond? Maybe, maybe not. We'll never know because we don't know what it originally sounded like. But I think Desmond had a hand in helping that album be successful. It'd be crazy to say otherwise, but I think it's just a great, great album.
Yeah.
So, to me, that album saved Aerosmith's career. I know people hate the song Angel. I happen to like it, even still, all these years later. In fact, that's probably the song that got me into Aerosmith, because I was really not an Aerosmith fan in the mid 80s. I was, a teenager. And then I heard Angel, you ballad, like. And I think I got the album from Columbia House or whatever. And I was like, ooh, this is a good album. I like this. So that song will always have a little special place in my heart. But did Desmond save Aerosmith? No, I'm going to say Aerosmith saved Aerosmith with a friggin' great album they put out.
Yeah. It's really hard to prove as fact either way,
Of course.
because we don't know.
Of course. Look, he had a hand. He had a hand.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not trying to say Permanent Vacation is equal to Rocks or Toys in the Attic, but Permanent Vacation to me is a damn good album. Yeah, I even love the title track. Oh man, I love that title track. It's one of my favorite Aerosmith songs.
Yeah. And to that point, personally, Pump was after that, right?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's a great album. And also, I don't know if it's available anymore. I have it on DVD somewhere. They have the Making a Pump documentary, which is one of my favorite documentaries of all time. And you see the band recording, which I always love that stuff. You see the band arguing, which I always love that stuff, because I'm not so much to see bands in turmoil arguing, but people don't understand like how difficult that is. If you're married, you understand how difficult it is, because if you're married and you have to get along with one person, imagine getting along with 3 other people with the different personalities and opinions, right? But that's a great documentary if you want to see how a band works, and they even go down to choosing song for the album, and they have them up on the board, and the producers there, and that the guy from the label, John, I forgot the guy's name. He comes in the Kalogner. Yes, thank you. He's in there with that voice, is like kind of like this, and he's saying,
I don't think I've ever seen that video.
Oh, I can't believe you haven't seen that.
I don't recall.
That is 10 plus toes. There's
10 plus toes.
There's a part where Joey Kramer and him and Steven go at it, kind of, which is, you see, I don't go at it like fists, but he's going to record a song or whatever, and I can understand this. You hear the drummer playing, you think, all right, he's just playing and Steven is a great musician. You see him on the Korg M1 keyboard playing Janie's Has a Gun. Janie has the bass like boom down, boom down, boom down, boom. Like he wrote that whole bass line thing, and he's actually using, for those trivia people, he's actually using the bass sound that they used on the Seinfeld.
Oh,
that
really?
was that keyboard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that bass sound is the same patch, which is cool. So you see them writing and rehearsing and also miming, kind of lyrics or writing them. You see him writing. It's a great documentary. But when I was getting to the Joey Kramer part, is like there's a part when you see Joey Kramer talking, he's kind of like, he's always like, his eye is like, he's got this twitch or whatever, and he goes in his talk, he's like, Steven Tyler, love Steven, but Steven Tyler is the twitch of my eye, like that. You could see like over all the years, like he's affected Joey this way. It's
interesting.
It's very truthful, and It's a great documentary. I can't say enough about it. And if it's still available and out there, it might even be on YouTube for free. I don't know. I mean, the other day I was going to watch Kiss Exposed, and I have the DVD, and I saw the whole thing was on YouTube, and I'm like, how is Kiss not flagging this and taking it down? I couldn't believe it was.
Kiss might not have the ones. Kiss may not be the ones that have the rights to the video.
True, but they'll go after. It's still their. I don't know. It's not maybe their property. They don't own that. Whoever is that's what is it? UMG? What is it?
Mercury? Might have been UMG. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, whatever it is. Universal Music Group, right?
Yep. Well, now I have to see. And you've always mentioned that video, that VHS of Aerosmith, as one of your all-time favorite videos that came out during that time period. So I've got to seek that one out. I don't know why I, through all the years, never watched that. And in the 80s, I was certainly an Aerosmith fan. I had all the albums. I never watched that video for some reason. I don't know. Maybe when I went to rent it in the video store, it was out for the day. Who knows?
It's possible, because it was, I think, originally on VHS.
Right. Well, maybe every time I went to get it, you had it out, and you were just like, I won't let Brunn watch it again.
That's also a possibility. I mean, back in those days, we were very highly competitive on who owned what first. But
absolutely. So I know that the tour dates that they've released, I think Brooklyn was the third show on the list. I know they're doing Madison Square Garden. I think they're doing New Jersey also, Newark. So this first batch of dates, there's actually 3, I'll call it local shows for us. If I decide to go and I don't invite you, am I getting a thanks for not inviting me comment?
Of course you will.
but now are you hoping that I invite you? Are you like, I saw them in 87. I saw them, at that time. I'm good.
Oh no, well, we haven't touched upon, you briefly touched upon it, but I'm a huge Black Crowes fan.
Right. So I was going to bring that up. Yep.
Yeah. So I think it's a nice pairing. I saw Black Crowes, I think, once with ZZ Top. I think it was. I think they were opening for ZZ Top. But I would definitely be interested in that. Obviously price pending.
Of course. Yeah. I like the Black Crowes. I don't love the Black Crowes. I have 1 or 2 albums, but I was actually hoping Extreme was going to be the opening band, figuring there's that Boston connection. They're both from the same area. Extreme's putting out an album, I think in June, if I remember right, is their new album's coming out. I figured that would be perfect. But Black Crowes is a good pairing as well. It's a nice, nice get for them to have and opening up. It's certainly better than, let's just say, I don't know, having a painter, let's just say. So I'd definitely rather see the Black Crowes. But
which by the way, a side note, has Kiss announced who their opening act is going to be yet? No.
Okay. Well, when I interviewed Doc a month ago, he said, next week we're announcing it, and then crickets. So I don't know what's going on there.
Okay.
But it is interesting that you're going to have Kiss and Aerosmith both out on their final tour with an overlap here. And, both bands are going to be in the New York area, in the November, December time period. So I don't think either one's going to take away business. In fact, the Kiss shows are already sold out, so it can't. I think fans will find the money to go see both bands. But and I guess it's not a surprise if both bands started in the early 70s, right? So, but it just goes back to us saying, the days are numbered here with these bands, unfortunately. Now I'll say this: I probably will go, even though I've been disappointed. I think every time I've seen Aerosmith, I will probably go again. But I wish, and I won't see the set list probably before tickets go on sale. But if they were going to do songs like I mentioned a few of them before, but even songs like "Nobody's Fault" or "Sick as a Dog," and like I said, I went down their catalog a lot, and so these songs are really resonating with me again recently. If they were doing that instead of "Sweet Emotion" and "Walk This Way" and "Same Old Song and Dance" and "Last Child," I think Aerosmith's one of those bands that, especially with the 70s stuff, I like the album cuts better than the singles. And that's my problem, I think, when I go see them. Sweet Emotion, the bass line's kind of cool, but doesn't excite me. I don't know why. It does. I'll be much more excited if they did "Sick as a Dog" than if they did "Sweet Emotion," but the likelihood of that happening is probably slim to none.
Yeah.
But I'll probably go. What were you going to say?
I was to say again, these bands and understandably feel like they have to pump out the hits,
Of course.
and people are gonna. Think of it this way, and this is the best way for you to appreciate it. You're not a big Who fan, right?
Absolutely.
You went to that show, and you didn't hear
My Generation,
and the other one. Thank you. So, right. So you're the casual Aerosmith fan, and now they're doing some of the songs you just mentioned, and they're not doing, people are going to be like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
You know,
if you go to see Aerosmith and they don't do Sweet Emotional Walk This Way, people are walking out pissed. I know that.
Yeah.
I absolutely know. I've just never loved either of those songs.
Yeah.
Same old song and dance. Never really loved it. And I know that's probably very taboo to say, and people are going to be like, Brunn, you're nuts. But the album cuts to me are better on those albums, you know? Just my opinion. And I have no problem with the 80s stuff. I like Loving an Elevator. I know people like, they don't like that stuff. I like Dude Looks Like a Lady. It's a little bit different, than they were in the 70s, but they're good songs. And it goes back to before. Good songs are good songs to me. So I like, Loving an Elevator is a fun song to hear live, but that's my take. But knowing it's probably the last time, maybe the last time will be the time I walk out and say, damn, that was a good show. I want it. I want to walk out of seeing Aerosmith and say, damn, that was a good show. It just, boy, I'm going to get crucified for this. I know I am. People are going to be like, are you freaking nuts? Aerosmith's one of the best live bands ever. I get that. It just, for whatever reason, that's been my experience when I've seen them.
Yeah.
I probably would have been thrilled if I saw them with you in 87.
If you were invited.
If I was invited.
Yes.
with Dokken, who to this day I've never seen in concert. So go figure that.
Wow. I'm one up to you on something on a show.
And I loved Dokken in the 80s. I had all the albums. I don't know why. It was one of these bands I just never saw. So thanks for the no invite.
Again, I told you who to blame. You want me to give you his address?
Yes, please. And phone number. Let me call him after this.
Number. Yeah. And the first thing you say is, you are cheap.
That's right.
Since he is the originator of cheap. So
is he? I did not know he was the originator of cheap. Wow. The things I learn on this show. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just close by saying this also. I didn't mention when I was reading the press release, there are VIP packages and meet and greets and things like that. So if you as a fan are interested in that type of thing, check out their website. There's information about it on there. I did not check the prices. I'm guessing it's going to be expensive.
Aren't they all?
Yeah. Well, so if the Kiss one, a picture with them is like, I think just over $1,000 these days. Well, somewhere between $1,000 and $1,200. Do you think Aerosmith will be more?
No.
No. Yeah, I do.
Really?
I do. Yeah. I think Joe Perry, Steven Tyler. I think, because they haven't, to my knowledge, they haven't, and like I said, they haven't been touring much since 2017. I don't think they've been as accessible to fans. I know Joe Perry on his solo tour he's on right now has been doing meet and greets, but as a band, maybe I'm just not friends with the right people, but I don't know of anybody that has a photo with the band.
I know because of that, they're going to charge more money? Yeah,
because the demand, I think, so Kiss has been doing it for 15 years and they still have some demand, but it's got to be less than if they had never done it before.
True, but I think they also
keep me honest out there, people. Keep me honest. Maybe Aerosmith has done it. I don't recall seeing anybody with Aerosmith photos.
I'm just thinking they're going to keep it at market value, whatever. They're going to look at what everyone charges and not be like, what the hell, they charge $300 more for. But I guess you make a good point of it too. Well, I guess we'll find out when they make these announcements.
Yeah. I mean, because I would be interested, but not at $1,500.
Yeah.
Not for a 10-second photo, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Anyway, the big announcement today, Aerosmith, peace out. The final tour. Dates announced through January. I'm quite sure there's a lot of people saying, what about this city? I'm sure there's going to be a ton of cities added. They all do New Year's Eve in Boston. That one, I was like, that sounds interesting to me. A hometown show, New Year's Eve. It kind of reminds me of Kiss doing New Year's Eve back in 96 into 97, which I was at, which was a fun time. If the prices weren't too egregious, I might even consider New Year's Eve in Boston with Aerosmith. That might be fun, but
well, between that, the price of that, and divorce lawyer, you're gonna have to figure out if that's gonna be something you can afford.
Oh, that's a good point. You know what? I think with my wife, if we had other couples going with us or other friends going with us, she'd be like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." You know? If I said to her, I want to go by myself, she'd give me a look like, are you freaking kidding me? Really?
Right.
But I probably also wouldn't want to leave my kids on New Year's Eve. My daughter will probably be out doing her own thing. My son, who knows? So we'll see. But anyway, let us know what you think about the Aerosmith announcement. Let us know if you think that this is really, truly their end and that they're going to not tour after this. Go ahead, crucify me for saying I haven't enjoyed fully any Aerosmith show I've been at. That's okay. Let us know what you think about set lists and, should they be doing more than 17 songs, and what songs would you like to hear? And let us know what you think a fair price would be for the VIP picture. I'm curious what people think about that. Otherwise, my friends, I think we've covered it all.
Yes.
All righty. Well, on that note, maybe instead of the Ringo, maybe we do like the Aerosmith wings to get out of here. I don't know what to make of that. We're going to just fly on it, get our wings on and get out of here. So, all right, everybody. Speak to you later.
Peace out.
Peace out. Oh, good one. Peace out. All righty. There you have it. We'd like to hear your thoughts and your comments on the Aerosmith announcement. Are you going to be buying tickets? As well as what you thought about some of our comments about their career, and so much more. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that we love. You could also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.